Hello, everybody. My name is Gilda Ross. I'm the Glenbard Student and Community Projects Coordinator. Delighted that you could join us. It's a very busy night, lots going on. We do have some watch parties. We had a great crowd at noon. I'm so grateful for the gift of your time. Thank you to the sponsors that make this all possible. I'm very excited. I had the pleasure of hearing Meghan at noon, and I can't wait to hear her again. And Jackie Thornton is with us. She is the principal of Naperville Central. She'll do the honors of the introduction. Before we begin, I want to quickly tell you about upcoming events. Next week, we have very much filled this month of April. Next week, Susan David, she is the author of the book Emotional Agility. She will be in conversation with Kristen Neff, who really is one of the thought leaders on self-compassion. The book, Emotional Agility, is about the skills to navigate change and embrace self-compassion in this challenging time. And that's on April 16th at noon and 7 p.m. And then the following week, those of you who have children or family members who are in the throes of puberty, you don't want to miss the program with Karen Natterson and Vanessa Kroll Bennett. This is Awkward is the title of their book. Everything you need to know about these challenging times for our preteens. That's on April 23rd at noon and 7 p.m. And then the following program to close out the month of April, Trevor Muir will be talking about the skills that all employers need today. Don't call them soft skills. He'll be speaking with us at 7 p.m. on April 28th. We go into May for a very important program as part of Mental Health Awareness Month. Jonathan Singer, a true expert in suicide awareness. And we'll be having that program at noon on May 1st virtually, and at 7 p.m. it becomes a hybrid. If you are all in the area of the Carroll Stream Public Library, please do join us at 6:15. There'll be a health fair with assessments. A lot's going on, and wherever you are, please don't miss that program. And so let's get right to it. Jackie Thornton, again, I'm so happy that you were here, principal of Naperville Central, with the introduction. So take it away, Jackie.
Gilda, thank you so much for the honor of being able to introduce Meghan to our group today. I'm honored to introduce Meghan Leahy, who is a certified parenting coach, a podcast host, and the author of Parenting Outside the Lines. She has given advice from toddlers to teens on mental health, child development, discipline challenges, challenging behaviors, and navigating the complexities of raising children in today's world. She writes the award-winning parenting column for the Washington Post, and she is called upon frequently to offer advice to numerous publications and other national outlets like NPR, ABC, and NBC. We are delighted to welcome Meghan Leahy to the GPS Parent Series tonight. Thank you, Meghan.
Oh my gosh. Yay, ladies. Thank you. First of all, Jackie, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. Jackie and her school just won a Blue Ribbon Award, and that is a really big deal for you guys that may or may not know about that. And good news is good news. So congratulations to you and the teams of people it takes to run a beautiful community. Gilda, thank you so much for doing this, bringing people together. Jerica, thanks behind the scenes. You're making everything happen. All right, folks, let's do this. Let's share. We're going to click to exit, click, and this is going to happen. Do you see it, Gilda? And do you still see it?
Yes.
Celebrate good times. Okay. Everyone listening, it's 8 o'clock where I am. I don't know where you are. Put your AirPods in, cook, drive around, pick up the kids, just be a part of it and do your best. I know how everyone is busy, so I am here to make things easier, at least not worse. That is my goal. So tap into your intuition to connect with your child, how the power of connection can make parenting a little more easier and joyful. Let's face it, it's never going to be completely easy or always joyful, but we can help it along. And maybe it will be for you, in which case I will read your next book. All right, let's see here. All right. Okay. Look at my beautiful family. Aren't we all so perfect and beautiful, right? We have now 3 dogs. The puppy made an appearance earlier today. We have a beautiful horse. I have 3 gorgeous daughters. What you don't see here is 2 of them are neurodiverse and extra joyfully challenging my skill set, right? One of them was born without a whole slew of organs, which we realized when she was 13 that will impact her for the rest of her life. I'm not calling her out. She went on a podcast. Shout out, this is awkward. She did their podcast, right? So highly recommend everyone Gilda has coming on, but those women are tremendous. So every time you see people's pictures, right, know that there's stories behind them of both the joy you're seeing and hardship and struggle and drama and trauma. That girl in the middle was also in a school shooting, right? So, it's a really, and yes, the joy in our family is real, right? So why am I a parent coach? Well, that joyful picture doesn't really show that starting around 4th, 5th grade, I became disenchanted, shall we say, with school. I became that student that nobody wanted to teach. And literally, the teacher said so. I was expelled by 8th grade, let back in due to privilege and string pulling. High school was a disaster, right? I barely graduated high school, so I think I had 76 detentions because I wouldn't serve them. I don't think I got past 6th grade in math, right? And my parents' prayer for me was to not get pregnant because I was Irish Catholic. And that was worse than going to jail or dying. Okay. So I am a good parent coach, not because I went to prestigious schools and got a lot of degrees or read a lot of books. I'm a good parent coach because I was the kid that my parents would have called someone about. I was a hard kid. I was unreachable. I had a little shell of hardness around me with a big tender heart in the middle. And it was very hard to connect to me, right? And that's why I'm a good parent coach, because I both understand the kid who's struggling, and now I kind of understand where my parents were coming from and how hard it was for them, especially given the resources back then, right? So our hearts always make us the most effective. Data can only take us so far, because if data could heal us, we'd all be healed now, right? Thanks, Google. But we're not. So because of my own childhood experience, because of my own parenting life, and I became interested in attachment. Um, I used to be a teacher, and then I became a school counselor, and then I started working with a parent education group, and I couldn't figure out why some of the skills worked with some parents and didn't with others. Like why one kid's medicine was another kid's poison. Why some parents were having really big success with these quote unquote techniques, right? These were kind techniques. Like what was the problem? I couldn't wrap my fingers around it, my hands around it, my head around it. I met Dr. Neufeld, Gordon Neufeld. He's a Canadian. He's brilliant. And I didn't actually go to his keynote to see him. I went to go see Susan Cain, the author of Quiet, which is a beautiful book for parents of, those introverted, lovely kids, or if you're an introvert too. I went to go see her, but he was the keynote. And it was like a frying pan to the head when he spoke. I've only had a couple of those moments where I woke up, right? I was dealing in behaviors, and he was going to the roots of relationship, the roots of what it means to parent someone, to love them, to be a leader, but with full-heartedness, right? So some of the words that he used that are synonyms that I want you to look at are, what does attachment mean? Because we usually think attachment parenting, which is like breastfeeding for a long time, co-sleeping. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about really elemental stuff. So what we're talking about is, connection, kinship, relationship, reciprocity, fidelity, witness to latch onto, right? I've been lately really thinking about the word reciprocity. I used to be an English teacher, so words are important to me, right? What does reciprocity mean, right? What is that cycle of connection and attachment? So this is now where my work is. Do I do behavioral stuff? Sure, because at the end of the day, that's what people want. We want changed behaviors. We don't want a bunch of theory. But I realized that by going to the roots of connection, this is where the change springs from. Just like our plants. You can keep fiddling around with the leaves, but if it's not planted in the right soil, or if it's not getting enough water, right? The bug spray won't work. So this is one of my kids' hands in one of my husband's hands. I am close to 50. I don't remember who that is. If there isn't photographic evidence, I'm not sure what happened. I though love this picture because it is the purest form of connection when a child is born. It is that first encompassing love that almost every human does without having to read a book or being told what to do, right? Not everyone. Some people are really traumatized or have things that stand in the way. But for most of us, this happens, right? And when we're deeply connected to someone, the cooperation's pretty good. But while we parent, cooperation and connection and easiness can stop. And we get trapped in the behaviors we don't want, right? And we forget what's important, which is the connection. And by the way, parenting gets complicated. So, before everyone has kids, you see the kid who's out of control in a restaurant or the mall or out, and you're, well, that won't be my kid. Well, right? And then you have the kids. Oh, okay. Turns out they're their own people, like 100% their own people, right? Parenting gets complicated. I've never met a parent. I've been coaching for almost 15 years, working with parents since 1998. Okay. I've been working with parents and I've never met a parent who woke up and tried to be a crappy parent, who said, you know what, I'm going to fight about dumb stuff. I'm going to fight about things that don't mean anything. I'm going to ruin my relationship with my kid about unimportant things. I'm going to say things I don't mean and make threats I can't make good on. I've never had a parent choose that on purpose, but things start to happen. So raise your hand or throw me a heart or throw me a thumbs up or an angry face or whatever you want if any of these speak to you. Not listening. We could say won't get off tech over and over and over. Cries to get out of things, does the opposite, chore refusal, tantrums, won't apologize, not listening, lies, won't, right? And these are only some of the things, right? There's a whole cacophony. There's a whole thing of behaviors that can crop up. And it's hard because a lot of us weren't brought up to handle these. We don't have a lot of tools in our own toolboxes, right? So we reach for what works. So how do we get back to this feeling again? We're not going to go backward to that moment, right? Because that is its own moment, right? But this kind of feeling, right? Where the mother, I'm presuming, the woman is hugging the child, but the child is hugging back. It's reciprocity, you see? How do we get to that feeling? Because, by the way, if your child doesn't like to be touched, you can still have that feeling with a kid, right? Here's what's hard. It's often not. I didn't say it's never not, which is also a double negative, but everything is on the table for me parenting wise, other than beating them and absolutely like abusing them, right? Like really like terrible verbal shenanigans, right? But often what we find is that commands, demands, punishment, praise, nagging, begging, giving too many choices, special gifts, allowing children to call the shots. That is the number one reason I coach. The number one reason is because the kids have become, in the Neufeld language, alpha children. that they're controlling the households, right? Which is not uncommon because for a long time kids were seen and not heard, and culturally we moved to now kids call the shots, right? Because we tend to whoop, whoop, whoop. We giving up, not great. Sticker charts, taking things away. I have snatched a good deal of tech out of my kids' hands. I'm sure if I asked you to raise your hand, you have too, right? Because we just can't take it anymore. Consequences. Consequences are now the new kind of word. It's really often just a punishment. You've just dressed it up in nicer language. Well, he needs to learn there needs to be a consequence here. If it's given by you to them, it's a punishment. Period. You can call it whatever, kind of gentle parenting, conscious, meow, meow, whatever you want. It's a punishment. Okay. Will some of these things possibly need to happen in your parenting life? You bet. But they're often not the way forward. So, behavioral techniques don't elicit cooperation in our children very well. We have to have trust first. The kid has to trust you. Jackie knows this first and foremost. Kid doesn't trust a teacher, that kid's not going to be good for the teacher, right? We have to have the good intentions, right? We have to have strong boundaries that don't move and shift and give way or close in. And we have to have a tremendous amount of compassion, right? Empathy is, I feel your feelings. Compassion is, I feel your feelings and I really care about that, right? It's more mature. And these things can only happen through connection. So I like trees. I like nature almost provides us always with the examples we need for what to do in our lives. Almost always. The leaves are the behavior. And so what I want to do is go to the roots. I'm always asking parents to go to the roots, even when we're in our behavioral, when I'm working with coaching clients or I'm writing columns, I'll give you behavioral techniques, but I'm saying, how is this answering to the roots of how we attach to someone? What is this fulfilling? Or is it just something shiny? Do this or don't do this and. Okay? Because also kids are smart. They are smart. And they know when they're getting BS'd. Right? Okay. So look at this dumb little screen. I always call it a dumb little screen because it looks so basic. And I tell people when I joined the Neufeld Institute, we spent about a solid year on this. It's so critical, right? And so I used Gilda as an example earlier today, and I will again. I'm calling her daughter Anne. So Gilda and somebody else made a baby, sperm met egg, and there was Anne in all her potentiality. Right? All the ancestors from Gilda's side, all the ancestors from the sperm side came down and made this child. It's kind of a miracle. It kind of blows your mind. There you are. There's Anne. And Anne is a little acorn, and Anne dropped into a beautiful field filled with other trees, right? Trees like trees, root systems, they talk to each other. If a tree gets sick, trees will send its nutrients to it. What? Okay. That's what Anne got. We see trees growing out of sidewalks. I live in a city all the time. No one would say that tree grew to its fullest potential. I think about that with kids a lot, right? And still the tree grew, which is its own miracle, right? So every acorn has its own potentiality. So does every child. So the child who is neurodiverse, has Down syndrome, has this, has their ultimate potential. Their most that they can grow. And that's our job, to bring our kids into their mostness, not into something else, not into someone else. The problem is we don't know what their mostness is. So off to the races we go. So Anne lands in a beautiful field, and the first thing that happens, if it isn't Gilda, if it isn't a partner, it's a nurse or a doctor or somebody picked up the baby and went, hi, sweetheart, right? And it's like nobody was ever born before. It is, clouds breaking open, miracles, right? It's like nobody's ever walked the earth except Anne and the parents. And that begins that first thick root of senses, right? This is the deepest, not deepest, the most critical form of attachment that has to take place right away. Lots of studies have been done on this. It's easy to Google about attachment in the early days, hours, minutes, right? It's why, after the Romanian crisis, we stopped whisking kids away and put them on chests. It's why strangers can rock babies in NICUs and the babies heal faster. Why? Right? I'm loved, I'm safe. Heartbeat, smell, right? When you parent a baby, it's a full physical experience, right? I mentioned earlier, somebody, God love them, studied why we have that feeling of wanting to eat a baby when you have it, right? They have that little like fat roll like around their wrist and you're just like, right? It's so encompassing how we feel about these babies, right? And this is hard because when they're little, it's so tactile, it's so immediate, and you are completely in control. And it's exhausting, but it feels good. I am the master of this little universe. We're completely duped, right? As they become 7, 8, 9, oh, okay, here we go. Tweens, oh dear, right? Other people start to move into your solar system and they want to be with them. They want to have their sense experience with others. This is not a problem. This is the way it's developmentally meant to be, right? Like we want our kids to be with us until they're like 38 and they haven't left. And you're like, wait a second, why are you still with me, right? We want them to move out and about, right? But it can feel hard to connect to your kid through the senses as they get older. So ways you can do that is, again, have you ever tried to hug a tween boy? Unless you have a huggy tween boy, which some do, but a lot of the boys just go like, smell is one of our most powerful senses. It goes down here to our reptile brain, right? So what smells can you feel with the home that feel like connection? Did you always make pancakes for them growing up? The smell of pancakes could be that for them. A form of attachment and connection and love. Feels like love, right? Can you watch movies together and laugh? TikToks, Reels, right? Old SNL videos on YouTube are like what my family and I watch now. And they really love it because of how out of pocket it was 30 years ago, right? They're like, Mom, I'm like, listen, I didn't write it and it is bad. Taste, food is crucial, right? Crucial. Listening to music together, gaming together, sitting just in a car together. Neufeld says, how can you build proximity? Literally, how can you be near each other? You don't have to be like, so tell me everything that's happening in your life. You can just be near, right? Adults will tell me all the time, some of my favorite memories are fishing with my dad. We didn't say a word. We just cast out, reeled it in, listened to the birds. Deep attachment, right? And we'll think it's not important or it's not relevant because it's not an immediate reward kind of attachment with our older kids, but it sticks. Because if I asked you guys about who you attach to, you would tell me stories about aunts or uncles or grandparents or parents, right? Now I use Schitt's Creek GIFs because that's my favorite show, right? And of course, Moira Rose is my hero. And if you don't watch it, get past the first season, it just gets funnier and funnier. Our next one is sameness. Sameness is a 2-year-old high will, low skill. I do it. I help, right? Look at their toys. They look like keys. They look like keyboards. They look like computers, refrigerators, lawn care. Okay. Like Whatever the parent's doing, the 2-year-old, right? They haven't separated their identity. They're just a part of you psychologically, right? And whatever makes you happy makes them happy. Now, it is like living with a drunk, it's times are good or times are very bad, and you don't know why. They can't explain it to you, right? And we're always bringing our logic brain, what's wrong? Right? 2-year-old's never been like, I'm ambivalent, right? They don't have the language, they don't have the prefrontal cortex in yet. Now, you see with the tween, and starts younger and younger in America now, compared to like when Gilda was growing up, when I was growing up, and now, right? Because we group our kids together for too long. It's a side note, the same age meaning. Kids want to be like each other. This is very human, right? So now, right, everybody has to wear the same clothes, like the same music, just like when I was growing up, right? Tech makes it faster, but it doesn't change the impulse of belonging, right? And all the pain that comes with being in or out, too tall, too short, too big, too little. They just want to be like one penultimate kid that we never see. Or there's always that one girl or one boy or one human, right? So what's important to remember in sameness is that you are not swapped out. You can be as a parent. You can abdicate your leadership and let the culture raise your kid. You can. But nature has it so that you are still the primary attachment. These are now just planets orbiting. These are now, right? And it's developmentally appropriate and not a problem. You can still build sameness with your kid. Oh my gosh, we both love spicy food. Let's go get Indian. Oh, we both love, really hard rock. I love that this is all coming back again. Let's put on some Nirvana, right? Talking about my generation, right? We both love horror movies. All right, I will never say that. But you see, you can still be the same as your child at any age. You can even tell them, oh my gosh, do you know how much you're like your grandpa you are? Kids love that, as long as you're using it for good and not evil. 3-year-old is where stuff gets a little dicey. This is belonging and loyalty. This is where you start getting no, and for no good reason. You tell a 3-year-old to hurry up, they slow down. Tell the 3-year-old time to eat, not hungry. Why? Because they can say no, right? When I meet a 3-year-old who doesn't give a little bit of that, who doesn't have any chutzpah, I think abuse. That's how critical, important, and normal it is for a 3-year-old to individuate. All 3-year-olds are different. Some are more easygoing temperamentally, some are spicier, so it's not about just one way, but there's an individuation process because you're not meant to raise a robot. You're meant to raise someone. And so a human says no before they say yes. They think about themselves before they think about others. It goes in and then it goes out. In and then out, right? Like a lot of nature. When they're little, they belong to the family. If you have another baby come into the house, it's who's this? What's this mess? Right? Oh, this is your little sister. Don't you love them? No, you're my mom, right? This is my toy, my stuff. Anything they see, mine. As they get older, now they're belonging to their peers. It's still in the sameness root, but they're really deeply identified with a team, with a group, with a hobby, with an academic thing, with a neighborhood thing, right? This is where we kind of can lose them down the internet hole of conspiracy, right? Because it feels so good to belong to anywhere, right? And so I always ask, how is this child belonging in your home? Are they the problem? Right? Are they an embarrassment? Are they lazy? Are they a disappointment? Do they not help? Are they mean to their sister? Right? Like, Is there anything they do that would be seen as good, helpful, just good enough for being alive? Right? Because you don't want them to just belong to the culture. It's not how humans are made. Right? We're made as pack animals, like elephants, right? Dolphins, primates. Okay? So if you get these three roots when they're born, you're going to have a human. You're going to get a human. And I'm only saying that half facetiously, right? Attachment disorders are very serious, and anybody whose child has one knows this. And there's still a lot of hope because they've realized that the brain changes until we die. And so there's never hope lost for anyone to change at any age. So even if you're watching this with an intractable 19-year-old, it is not too late, right? Because the relationship with your parents always counts until the day you die, right? It's what every book and piece of music is written about, it feels like, right? So now we get into significance, okay? The roots are getting deeper. Significance is that 4-year-old energy, right? So the baby eats peas because you gave them peas. The 2-year-old eats peas because, well, mom likes peas, so do I. 3-year-old's like, I'm not eating peas because, well, I'm just not. The 4-year-old's like, I'm not eating peas, and let me tell you why. They are full of themselves, and I love this stage, right? They got a voice, they have some not very good opinions or fully formed, but they have them, and they're going to tell you about them. This is where the negotiating begins, right? Why is my kid such a little lawyer? Right? They're very bright. They twist you around, right? You can't pick them up anymore. This is usually when we start doing timeouts and all kinds of gobbledygook that doesn't work, right? Significance, though, when the kids get older and around 3, 4, 5, 6, whenever it comes, is about work. And what I mean about work, it is about contribution. It is about the human desire to not be idle, to be of service, to have an impact, right? Humans without impact are, what is idleness of the devil's hands? We don't do well. We are a doing species. And I'm not saying busyness and the grind we have today. I'm saying, making things, accomplishing a task. You guys know what it feels like to cross something off a to-do list. You want to call someone. I did it, right? Taxes, I did them, okay? And so with our older kids, we can see sometimes, and I don't blame parents for this, that our culture has set up a system where you drive them to school, they drive home, you drive them home, you drive them to a sport, you pick them up, you drive them to Chick-fil-A, you get them dinner, you drive them back, you've done their laundry, you've cleaned the house, you've done, right? The kid does their too much homework and they go to bed. Rinse, repeat 7 days a week, right? The kids are tired, the parents are tired. But meanwhile, years are passing and the kid has no responsibility for the welfare of the home or the family. They have no jobs. They have no skin in the game, right? And again, I've never met a parent that's like, how do I raise somebody spoiled and useless? I guess, right? But spoiled kids aren't born. That is not a temperament, right? It comes from idleness. It comes from begging and us relenting. And that is because we are in an overworked, distracted system. So when I tell parents this, again, it is not your fault. You are trapped in a culture that perpetuates this. So when you have to make changes in your house, it's real. It's not a little chore chart. It's like a different way of understanding family for a lot of people. And it's deeply uncomfortable, especially if you like your house run a certain way, right? But giving your child that significance reaps rewards forever. I made my kids do, oh God, the chore charts, and we would have family meetings. And oh Lord, it was so painful. It was so hard. And then I sent my oldest to college. Mom, what? There are kids here that can't do a load of laundry. They've never even seen the washer. Oh. Meanwhile, that was me and my brother. Okay. Well, now she's horrified. I'm like, oh, where was this horror when you were 11, like crying over the machine, like I was, you know. So you can ask yourself, what is my tween or teen or even like 8, 9, any age actually? How are they contributing to the house? What can I look at them and say, thank you for doing that? You legitimately helped me. No matter the neurodiversity, disability, physical issues, mental issues, learning issues, a child can contribute. Yeah. Love. This is a funny root because it's hard to describe, as Neufeld says, and it doesn't sound very sciencey, a love root. But it essentially means, and you know this feeling, when you can be away from your child and they can hold you in their heart when apart, right? So if you've ever loved someone, you still love them when you're not together. For babies, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, if they don't see their person, nanny, daycare provider, mom, dad, aunt, whoever the attachment person is, right? Right? They need them right there. Where's my person? Right? As you get older, you can be apart, you can be apart, you can be apart, right? And humans have done this forever. Carried locks of hair, right? Scents, letters, right? They mark their bodies, right? But they carry the person with them when apart. So when you feel that I love you from the kid and it's not mimicry, it emanates from them, that is a different root of attachment. And none of these roots are guaranteed, by the way. And so parents will, I have a 9-year-old, I've never seen it. And maybe some trauma got in the way or something really hard. It doesn't mean it can't come, right? It doesn't mean it can't come. But it's a beautiful thing when it happens. That's 7, 8, or 9. The love of others comes in and you will feel yourself pushed out of the way. Side, pushed out to the margins, and you think, oh, look at all these other loves, right? You end up becoming, the love becomes like, I want you to imagine, they're a trapeze swinger, right? They're up here and the safety net goes down, 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 right? But you're always there as a safety net, right? So then when the other loves fall apart or don't work or they hurt them, your love is there. It's the basement. It's the rock. It's the foundation. It's the thing to be trusted. Which brings us to being deeply known or being known. This is why we go to therapy, right? This is why, right? So in my family, right? Yeah, we weren't huggy at all, but okay. I was huggy with some people, like my mom, but there wasn't a lot of hugging. We all were the same, my heavens, right? We all went to church. And we belonged. We really did. I had a big family. I had a lot of cousins. You felt like you belonged, good, bad, or indifferent. You were in. I had people. I still have people I can call up anywhere. I was significant, not for anything good, but my brother was significant for good stuff. I knew my parents loved me. We don't say it to each other, but I felt it. Right? Did I feel deeply known by my parents? No. Right? Did I feel like the love was conditional? Yeah, right? And that is a really big pain for a lot of humans. We want to be unconditionally loved by our attachments, right? So this is especially important for our LGBTQ plus kids, where who they may be inherently could actually serve as a separation. And so it becomes, do I choose myself or my family? That is a terrible choice. when every human has the right to be fully themselves and loved for that. Right? So this is why the message of no matter what's going on in the house, no matter the mistakes made, the poor judgments had, the upset, the tantrums, the repair that needs to happen, the therapy, the teachers, the what, I love you no matter what. I got your back. I believe in us. This family's going to make it. I love you. Yeah, this is not great what we're in. We got work to do, but you are my boy, or you are my girl, or you are my human forever. None of that ever changes. Those are vulnerable words that maybe no one's ever said to you, parent. A lot of us did not grow up feeling like, I only had 2 people that fully had my back, but that was enough. You only need one. You only need one, right? And if you didn't get a lot of that messaging, that can feel dangerous to say that to a child. Won't they misbehave? Won't they run roughshod? No, there needs to be a line. They need to know. No, they don't. That's old thinking. No human has been improved by conditional love. Not one. Not one human has said, I improved when somebody said, I'll take all my love away. No relationship has improved. Behavior may be, but not relationship. And you can get a person to behave any way you want if you're cruel enough. Right? All right, so look at all this. We don't need all those. Oh, look at that wig. Gilda, I almost showed up like that. Wouldn't you have loved it? So what's your homework? What's your homework? First and foremost, just like my coaching, just like I try in my columns, what are you already good at? Let's work smarter, not harder. What are you already good at? If you didn't know already, Rick Hansen wrote a beautiful book called The Buddha Brain. And it was the first time I'd heard, he was like onto something earlier than the other experts, but that the brain is Velcro for negativity and Teflon for positivity, right? You will have a tremendous day and somebody will give you one critique. Well, what happened? Well, Joan said that my report wasn't that great, right? You could literally have been celebrated in 4 other meetings and the brain's like, what Joan said. Okay? So you're going to look on in your parenting life, and this isn't working, and that isn't working. I'm not good at that. My kid's terrible. Right? Yeah, maybe. But what are you good at? What's working? What are your strengths? Look at that and say, you know what? I'm really good at telling stories. I'm really good at helping my kid belong to the family even when things are hard. My kids are really capable, right? They can run this house. They know how to do things. I'm really good at like hugs and sitting near them and being around. Like Lisa DeMore calls it, being a potted plant. Just being there, right? I tell them I love them and they know it. And this is how I express it. You'll see some roots and go, ooh, I'm not as good at that. That's fine. You don't need to be. I'll explain that a little bit later. But can you give yourself some kudos for what you do well and double down on it? The kids know. Now, you are good at a certain attachment style, but how does your kid attach? So I have 3 kids. One loves to hit them all. Let's go to, let's go to Nordstrom, right? One needs silence, car rides, sitting nearby, silent crossword puzzles, right? And I'll sit there and think when she was little, golly day, what am I getting done here? What am I getting done with this child? And now that she's 18, gosh, Mom, those are my favorite memories. You'd make me hot chocolate, food, with my favorite marshmallows, felt like love. And we would just do that puzzle together. You didn't make me do anything. You didn't make me talk. You didn't, like, we were just together. Right? So you can be maybe a big extrovert and let's all go to the ball game and let's all go. And that can feel really good to you. And maybe even your kid likes it. And it's also okay to ask, how does my child experience attachment? What lights them up? What brings them peace? When do you see their shoulders go down? When do you see their, face soften? Right? And if you're like, girl, I don't know, just start to watch. Just start to watch. You don't have to know. These are two things. So this is like a fake out for number 2. Connect before you direct. And what stories will you need to change in your own parenting life? Connect before you direct is, if you're a bossy parent, I need you to stop. I need you to start. Can you please do? Can you not? And you've taken no time to connect with that child. You've not greeted them. You've not offered your heart. You've not even smiled. That you wouldn't do that to a stranger. I'm not blaming you for that. That's just a mental habit. We all fall into it because we're busy and we're tired and stuff needs to get done. All right? Again, nobody wakes up, I'm going to treat my child like crap. No, it just happens. And the brain, what fires together, wires together. We just make some bad mental habits. We can change it. Right? And what stories do you need to change? So some of the stories in my head over the years, obedience is a requirement. I need to nip this behavior in the bud. The number one thing I tell parents is, what happens when you rip open a rosebud? You kill it. That's an old 1950s saying. Nip it in the bud. That means squash it, kill it. My child shouldn't feel upset. I if one of my children suffers, I go bonkers. I cannot tolerate it. I've worked on it. I'm afraid of raising a brat. If I don't do something, everything will fall apart. Those are some of mine. You can think of some of yours. It's useful to sit down and just journal them out, and then you can, burn the paper, whatever. But we all have stories. We all have neuroses. If you don't, come and visit me. I want to sit by you and learn from you. Here are simple ideas. And then, okay, almost, okay. I smile and a nod. Connect before you direct. Right? How often do you do this? Obviously, you don't want to smile like a deranged clown, but how do you greet your child? Hey, good to see you. Not how was school? The worst question ever. I ask it every day still. Anyway, it's a terrible habit. How was school? What, it's like asking somebody, how was your work day? Well, I guess fine. What? Right? Simple ideas. Do real work with them. I love apprenticing a child. Let me teach you the way of loading a dishwasher. Your father will tell you this way, that is wrong. If you put bowls on the bottom, that is an engineering fault of terrible consequences. Use humor, be fun with it, show them, work with them, and let them be noticed for their contribution. Get in proximity, car rides, gaming, TikToks. You see how much tech I'm using? I'm okay with it. We got to use what we got. Games, old school card games are just so fun if you can get them. Driving, teaching them how to cook, cooking with them, go anything, just get with them. Be in their space. Even if they're ignoring you on their bed, bring a magazine. Being with them instead of fixing for unconditional love. When they're struggling, because remember, everyone's in their orbit now. All these peoples, teachers, coaches, friends of friends, online people. When they hurt your children, which they will, because that is being alive, be with your child instead of fixing it. Well, I told you she wasn't nice. Well, you knew that teacher wasn't gonna. Nope. Just be and make therapeutic sounds. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sounds hard. Mm-hmm. Right. I have to explain to you that I have to bite on a stick to do this. Not anymore. I've trained myself. But in the beginning, oh girl, I'm a fixer. Why you think I'm a coach? Tried to do that. Joke's on me. Matchmaking is a powerful thing. Matchmaking, this is a Neufeld term that simply means, and he really beautifully describes it, where you take your child's hand and you put it in another adult's hand. And you're simply saying, here, help me. Right? Yeah, I kind of think of it when you drop them off to preschool and you hand them literally to the other teacher. And you're literally saying, raise this baby with me. It doesn't feel that way, but that's what's happening. That's what's happening, right? So when you're struggling to offer a lot of love, or you don't have bandwidth, or you feel stuck, or you just need support, right? Watch videos of mom elephants saving one baby elephant from a gulch. They all come together, right? And they all work together and get the baby out, right? Coaches, teachers, aunts, uncles, friends that are like family, neighbors, uh, uh, other people in the neighborhood, like that funky neighbor with the art, older friends, like anyone who's in your child's life in any interesting way. How can they help you? This happened more organically before we were so isolated as humans, right? It just was part of like village living and close living, but you're going to have to be vulnerable and maybe ask for it. And I've only in my history have had one person say no, right? So who in your life can help you? Right? My daughter had a terrible Christmas, and her godmother, her Aunt Peggy, who's not her aunt, my best friend, texted her and said, would you like to make these Scottish biscuits with me? And they got on FaceTime and they made them together on FaceTime, right? The caramel, right? The shortbread. It was such an act of love for me, right? Because if I had asked my daughter, no. Aunt Peggy asked, okay. And she was so proud, right? So there's your roots. Finally, if you have any questions, but here's the last thing, don't do all the things. I just told you so many things. When you go to bed, your brain's gonna like tea leaves, everything's gonna settle and something will pop up. That's the thing you need to know. That's the thing. So just do one thing well. Maybe even for the whole spring. The whole spring, one thing. One thing could be chores. And borrowed benefits is a real thing. The good you do over here spreads into the family. Teaching them work and having them contribute helps the connection, helps the vibe in the family. Right? All boats rise. So humans aren't isolated, right? When you go on a date with your loved one and you come home, the good mojo comes with you. Right? Oh, honey, will you help me with this? Of course. That's how humans work. It's trust and it's attachment. It's as simple as it gets. And it's that hard too. So if anyone has any questions or however Gilda wants to do this, I am here. And Gilda, of course, I went too long.
No, you didn't. It was all wonderful. You know, if we just, I love the way you said, do one thing well, walk away with, this is, I wish I had I am going to make a Post-it note, and it's going to say eyes, smile, nod, eyes, smile, nod. Nod, I can do this. I can do this. Even in the worst of times, I can absolutely do this. I loved what you said about the importance of not fixing. I think as you said, we have all this life experience and we can't wait to depart it, all this knowledge that we have. I remember one of our speakers, Julie, talked about how when you do for your child, then you're really denying them the benefit of the success. whose success is it? And I thought that was a great way. Really, I think it's really something, don't you, that we have to fight against, wanting to go in there and fix it and make it right. Were you
Yeah,
talking?
and I say to parents, the love gets in the way. Our love gets in
Oh,
the
I love
way.
that.
Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, it's the love, love is everything, love is everything. It is, and
Right.
I'm so invested in this human. You are my heart walking around.
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
not dying for everybody else, but I'm dying for that one.
Right. Right. I love
And
that.
so their suffering causes panic in us.
Mhm.
And we try and shut it down or make it fine or fix it or, yeah, it's so hard. And we have our own stories from childhood where all manner of things happen. So we're reacting to our kid and our child selves and our over caffeinated selves and our fatigue and our menopause. And it's a whole wreck, which is why we're doing better than we think.
You said welcome all their emotions. What do you mean by that?
So the fullest expression of being a human to our fullest potential is to experience all the emotions available to us, right? So it is not a human goal to be happy. That is an emotion that comes and goes, and it should come and go in appropriate ways. So when you see tremendous suffering in front of you, the goal is not feel happy. The goal is to feel sad, worried, empathic, want to feel helpful, or even scared, pained, denied. But those are all human, right? So what we want is our children to their greatest potential to be able to feel all those feelings, because then you get a regulated human in this world, right? You have a person who understands themselves and can be responsible for their own reactions and responses, hopefully, right? So if you're like, what do you want your kid? I just want them to be happy. Yeah, I get it. Me too. And
Mhm.
what are your greater hopes for them,
Mhm.
right? And because the truth is we don't have any control over that. We don't know what suffering will become is coming for our children.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, we want to get them ready for it.
You said connect before you direct. Expand on that.
Right. So it can kind of cut both ways. If you only connect to direct, right? Like, oh, how are you? Da 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 da. Blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, no, you look so handsome in that blue shirt. So did you talk to your chemistry teacher about whoop? That's called manipulation. Your
Mhm.
kids are onto it like this, right? But if you are, put your shoes away, boop doop, bop deep. I need you to, I need you. You can even have like a really cooperative kid, like a good kid who just does everything. And there's not a strong a strong connection there. They may not come to you. They may not feel, they're just kind of bossed around. They're just kind of like a servant. And so what we want to do is like every relationship the cup needs to be filled. The cup needs to be filled. So you want to connect before you direct. This is with friendships, romantic relationships, work relationships, and most of all, your children. Because everybody wants to be cooperative for someone to whom they're connected, right? When my best friend calls me and needs something, she doesn't have to bribe me.
Mhm.
I love her because she takes care of me and I take care of her.
Mhm.
There's no quid pro quo in that,
Mhm.
right?
You talked about acknowledging their uniqueness, loving their uniqueness. Sometimes that's hard. How can I deal with that?
Support, 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 support. So, our culture's made it, and we've always been this way, but now, social media and the internet has exploded the good looks, right? Like if things are good, you shout them. If things are hard, especially as kids get older, we go silent. We get
Mhm.
ashamed. We're not sure. It's hard. So you want to reach out. You have to be careful who you reach out to, right? Because people can bring you down or suck you into their trauma, but you want to find people who get you, who understand what you're going through and can help you and shepherd you. You know, I have had parents reach out whose kid has fallen down a conspiracy hole and really believes some horrible things. And this is tender to reach out,
Mhm.
right? This is hard. So
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, this happens all the time. You're not alone and you're not bad parents, right?
Right.
You have to find that. Um, and you can't go it alone. You can't just read a book in your bed alone, alone, alone.
Mm. Mm.
You need help.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and so whatever resources you can afford that are available, that there's so much out there, just be brave enough, right? So the essence of courage is being afraid and wanting it at the same time. Lean into the wanting it so that as a parent, you can get support so that you can turn to your kid and offer that, right? Get your own cup filled so that you can turn to your kid and offer that excess, that confidence, that silver lining, that things are hard and not just things are hard.
Quick question. Is it
Mm.
meaningful to cry with your child? We're taught to be brave and keep a stiff upper lip. What about that?
Oh my God. First of all, this headband is killing me.
Oh,
Second of all, like, why do I do this to myself? What a good question, whoever asked that.
Kyle, that was Lyle.
Lyle, what a beautiful, deeply profound question. This is the quick and dirty on alpha. Alpha energy in the Neufeld Institute is your leadership energy in the family. This essentially means, like, imagine the mother duck with all the ducklings. She's just marching and the ducks are just behind. It is a feeling of, I've got this, even when I don't know what I'm doing. Right? So if you've ever had your kids in your car and it's kind of late and you're driving and you don't know where you are and the Google keeps and the kids are like, "Are we okay?" And you go, "Yup." And you're like, "I don't know where the heck we are." Right? But the alpha in you says, "Yup," because you instinctually know that it's not great to turn around and be like, this is with the crying. So let's say somebody in your life passes away and you are in deep grief. There is the crying you do to your therapist, to your best friend, to your spouse, to of like, the shower crying of just you, the human. And then there's the crying you do with your kid, which is, yeah, crying, but the kid never feels the need to take care of you. That is the difference, right? So my eyes are watering, I'm crying, and maybe even I'm really crying, but there's no sense of loss of control. The
Mm.
panic doesn't rise up in the child and go, oh God, wait, I'm upset, but now mom's really upset, and my upset made her upset, and now we're all too much, right? And that is when you get problematic stuff happening,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That's what we're trying to avoid. And that is anger and all the big emotions, right? Even when your kid like gets into their dream college and you're like, okay, like whose celebration is it? Like Gilda, you said, whose success is it? Right?
Mhm.
So anytime your reaction is like, "Ugh," okay, um, we're just looking to always, and when I say in control, I just want to be very clear that it is a feeling more than an act. That
Mhm.
my parent or my guardian or my person feels like they are still in possession of themselves,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
That's a wonderful question and a wonderful answer.
It's such
So
a good question.
thank you for
Because a
that.
lot of us grew up with stiff upper lipped parents. Like
Mhm.
people would die and we're fine.
Mhm. Mhm. So, Megan, this is when we usually go hug the kids, but I'm going to ask you something I don't usually ask. What
Yeah.
else should we say when we go hug the kids tonight and tomorrow night?
Oh, okay. We'll say something true,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you can name one detail that you noticed today,
Mm.
one small detail, just like, buddy, When you brought the plates into the sink from breakfast, I know it's small, but that helps me so much. I really appreciate you. I just want you to know that. Or, today, like when you were at baseball practice and it was really hard and the coach was kind of on you, last year you couldn't even do that. And so, I just want you to see that sometimes it's hard for us to see growth, but I see it, right? Like last year you couldn't even throw it to first from third. And now you're doing it. And he just wants you to do it better. I just want you to know I see that, right? Because humans don't spot growth in ourselves. Say one true thing. Tell a memory, tell a story. They love stories about themselves. Show them a picture, right? Um, ask to rub their feet, even if they're stinky, if they like that. Hang out with them. Tell them a story about when you were their age. Just be with. Just tell them how much you enjoy them. And for some of us, that's like, do I? And this is where, the parenting job, yes, I do. And I'm going to fake it till I make it
Mhm, mhm,
because the kids remember.
mhm,
And they remember you not going in,
mhm, mhm, mhm.
right? They remember the give up.
Yes, they do.
And it is okay to throw in the towel here and there. It is okay to say, I'm going to sit here and watch Housewives because I can't, right?
Mhm,
It's
mhm,
just, what is the routine over time,
mhm, mhm.
right? And really just, I love you no matter what. I love you no matter what. I love you no matter what. No matter what, nothing could stop. And the little kids will be really funny. What if I did this? What if I did that? But yeah, just keep showing up.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm. What a treat.
What a treat
Wonderful.
for me.
Thank you so much. It was just delightful. Such inspiration and such wisdom. We're so fortunate, those of us that are here tonight, and we'll share. We're going to continue this conversation next week when we talk about self-compassion and emotional agility. Come back. Megan, delightful. Jackie, thank you so much. See you next time, everybody. Now
Thank
we're
you,
gonna,
everyone.
we're gonna
Be
hug
well.
the kids, and we
Yes,
know exactly what to say. Thanks to you, Megan.
take very good care of yourselves.
Thank you. Have a good
Take
evening,
care.
everyone. This is fabulous. So many great reminders. I have to tell you my takeaways. You talked about connection is everything. Understand that it's normal behavior when they connect with their peers. This is absolutely normal. Do whatever you can to build that connection. Know your kid. Be self-aware so that you're challenging the stories you've been taught. Maybe it's the meals, but certainly have a welcoming vibe like a dog. When a dog sees sees you coming in the door, be as enthusiastic as all that. So much of what we do here at GPS is loving the child in front of you, not the child you wished you had or hoped for, but that child who deserves you and needs you. Um, I love the mentoring. Find a match for them if you can't do it. Help them understand all of the emotions, that you're making a place for them to save, to make those mistakes. So you said something about no scream shaming. Okay, they've just come in the door and I've already exhausted and I'm going there. I'm going to scream shaming. But Megan says, don't do that. What do I do now?
So screen, SCREEN, or
No scream shaming, as
oh,
in scream. So I feel like I'm about to lose it and I don't want to. So what can I do in that moment?
okay. In the moment when your suds, as they call it, right, when you are clicking up and you are like, anything that's going to come out of your mouth is bananas, fight, flight, fawn, flee. Okay. Like, I once canceled a kid's birthday. I said, I'm going to call Obama and have this day removed from the calendar. And she screamed down the steps, you have to at least make your threats viable. I mean, right? So catch yourself, click, 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 boom. If you can catch yourself on the click, get out of Dodge. Get out. I have to walk the dog. I have to go flush the toilet in the basement 500 times. Right. Get away from the kid. It's called do no harm. Unless life or limb is on the line, nothing you say is that important. Nothing. Unless it is broken bones, blood, death. Everything else can wait. Okay? When you've regulated back down, still shut up. Still keep your trap shut. It's your most powerful parenting move. It's to just shut up. Then you go through lift. Length, intensity, frequency, triggers. How long has this been going on? How long is the fight happening? How bad is it? So some parents will be like, we fight every day. Well, what is it? It's a 2. Okay, well, it's not that bad. Okay. Is it every day? And what is the back and forth? I say, she says, then I say, then they say, then I scream, then they scream, and then we blow. So what you need to do as an adult is take an audit. Lift. That's from Sandy Lerman, who works with adopted and traumatized kids, parents with adopted and traumatized kids. You have to take an audit, right? Why am I in this kabuki show every day at 4 o'clock? What am I doing? It's crazy. Why do I say the same thing every day? Right? Once you have collected yourself, you take that kid out for something they want. I don't care if it's a cake pop. And you say to them, so at 5 o'clock every day I go bananas. And let me tell you why. I feel really dysregulated because I've seen your bedroom and it's a wreck. And I get really upset and I'm filled with resentment. And I'm really sorry I've been screaming at you. I've taught you your whole life that that's ineffective communication. Don't I'm sorry, but. But means I don't mean it. But means I'm sorry, but it's still your fault. No, no, no. Own your bad behavior, parent. Own it, own it, own it. It's your fault. It's your fault you're screaming. It's not your child's fault. That sucks. Because I want it to be everybody else's fault. Then you say, let's make a plan. Your kid may be so mad at you, they're like, I'm not making a plan with you. I've heard your plans before. You're a liar. Then you go back to rinse, repeat for connection. Your kid doesn't trust you. You put on your big girl, big boy, big human panties and you get to work on the communication. A person who trusts you cooperates. Or they're afraid of you if they cooperate. So you can beat someone into submission, but that's not what we're going for either. If you're screaming, know that your nervous system is dysregulated and that's where it goes. That doesn't make you a bad person. You're not a bad parent. Screaming happens. We are not in the business of not screaming. Screaming happens. Okay. We're in the business of saying of curiosity. Why is that happening? What do I need? What resources do I need? Who do I need to hire? How do I need help? What do I need to own here? How do I make amends? And how do we work toward a common goal? And at first, that goal just might be that kid trusting you. Because if you've screamed at them their whole life, they don't trust you.
Excellent. Superintendent Kim, I know you have a question.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. I I was typing furiously during your presentation, and I just want to call off the rest of the day, tell my wife to call off the rest of the day and go home and share these notes with her and talk to her so we can support each other. This was really awesome stuff, just so good. And coming from a school perspective, for me, it really resonates as we always are trying to find ways to build a sense of belonging for our students, right?
Yes.
And then also how we try to partner with parents and improve our communications and make this a village raising supporting the educational needs, but the social emotional needs. And so I suppose I don't necessarily have a question other than maybe, Meghan, you're a parent yourself, so children have gone through school. Are there some of the really good strategies you've seen schools or a school district use and really leverage to build these kinds of really healthy
Yeah.
mindsets and strategies.
Yeah, I mean, I have lots of examples of where they haven't worked.
Okay.
But that's the brain too, right? That's the brain loves negative.
Mm-hmm.
We hold on to negative, but things that have worked are schools that empower the teachers to connect to their kids. Meaning, when my neurodiverse kid couldn't eat in the cafeteria, right? Because
Uh-huh.
it was too loud and too chaotic, and she didn't have a sense of belonging, and she didn't have social skills, right? They didn't put her in a social skills group, which is highly threatening to a lot of kids.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't force her to a table with other kids who felt scared. The science teacher said, "Come and eat with me."
Yeah. Yeah.
The science teacher didn't have to do anything. She didn't have to teach her anything. She didn't even have to talk to her. She just said, "You can eat here. You're safe with me." Right? You're safe here. Right?
Love it. Yeah.
Where can, so because a lot of our culture is a fix it culture, how do we fix you? How do we fix that? Which I love, but how can we just create safety first? So if the school model or a leadership model promotes safety first, and not, of course we're talking about physical safety, but emotional safety. Where are those spots that a kid can go? Who are those adults with the bandwidth? What is that look like? So that the kid feels empowered and not othered or, no, let's put you in a group for the weird ones. Let's put you in this. Right? She just needed to feel safe and loved. And the teacher, "Oh, I'm happy to have you here, Louise." And then she would finish eating and, "Can you help me clean these cages with these lizards?" Right? Significance.
Yeah.
Where can a school put the children to work? Right? I do think children should be responsible for cleaning portions of their school. I do think children should be responsible for caretaking younger students. It's actually how hierarchically mammals work, right? A lot of schools do that really beautifully. Mentoring. How do we
Yeah.
make that real?
Mm-hmm.
Right? How do we really bring that into the school in a really competent, led by adults, right? We don't want Lord of the Flies, but how can we, how can we do that in a way that brings competency and care, right? And really highlight those skills to these kids. Look at what I saw you doing, right? I saw you mirroring with that kid. I saw you problem solving. I saw you telling them, look at when something was hard and now you did it, right? All boats rise with that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Definitely people like me or people with my outlook going in and helping teachers. I know that finances are really hard right now with schools. There's a lot of insecurity around what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
but finding people with an attachment lens and not just a behavioral lens speaks to people's hearts because that is what is needed. Right? We can punish, shame, and bribe a human into anything. I mean, but look at the jails, it doesn't work. So I'm looking for more like heart-led and data-driven ways. A really powerful model is Ross Green's model, Explosive Child, collaborative, cooperative solutions.
Yes, we've had him.
Yeah, he has a fabulous model for this. So I'm betting that you already do a lot of these things. And so how can you highlight them? And then as a leader, call out to your teachers when they do them. Really say, like, I see you connecting to your kids,
Mm-hmm.
and you may not see the results, right? Because the only reason I didn't drop out of school is one English teacher who fought for me to be an AP English. One teacher,
That's true.
one choir teacher who said, "Hey, you can sing.
That's true.
Help me stop drinking and abusing drugs in high school so I could sing."
Mm-hmm.
Two people,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So even just calling them out and not just for like outcome-based grades and test results. Because I mean, I live in DC. There's a lot of smart people here that I wouldn't let watch a rock. They're not full of compassion,
Mm-hmm.
up and down.
Mm-hmm.
right? We're looking for compassionate humans, not just smart.
Mhm.
Is there
Maybe,
any other parenting things I can help with, guys?
you know what? I think you did such a wonderful job of all of the reminders, great suggestions. I know that people have already told me they're going to share this with others and welcome them to come back at 7 p.m. tonight. So we can you just be reminded about all of this. We know he who saves one life saves the world entire, and we can all do something. So I'm very, very appreciative of your time with us today, Megan. Thank you, Tom, Kim. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us.
Thank you, guys. Remember what you do well and give yourself some flowers for it, parents. Remember what you do well. Don't just look at what's not working because you are making an impact. So keep going.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you.
Oh, my
everyone.
pleasure.
We'll see you
So
soon.
nice.
Come on back, everybody. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.